But these will be opportunities to just meet and talk about things. So it's a lot of things. And then, you meet the school directors, and so you're talking about things, and they're pushing information down. So it can. There's various ways to communicate it.
And like geographically, it's like in different buildings, really, like
many different buildings.
Yeah, like just one, like some PIs told me that they have the research advancement staff in the same building, same hallway, but some of them they have to work across campus, kind of things, like
sometimes people, yes. So you're right.
Like, are you intentionally locating these faculty and staffs in different building, or like?
So this is the challenge of growing fast. Is that we don't currently have the ideal arrangement, which means I really do wish it were the case that every school that were maybe they would be in different buildings, but maybe the buildings would be really close together, right? It would have been. But as we grow and as we grow quickly, sometimes the faculty are distributed, and that's inconvenient. Okay, it means you have to plan well. But some faculty are a walk down the street.
Like about your school system or at ASU level, you already have the authority, but if you have the authority to change anything, like what would you like to change?
I'd like to increase the resources available to advanced research. And that means I'd like to increase our capacity to do research. And that means fundamentally add people. Okay, researchers doing research, grant writers helping write grants, project managers working on big projects, expand that. I think that, when you look kind of faculty by faculty and you look at some of the activities going on, we're doing really well. But we'd like to expand and scale, right? And to scale, I always say this, you have to build capacity. And that means you have to add infrastructure, which really means in this case you have to add people. So that we definitely want to change that. I think that when you look at kind of the actual process of preparing a grant submitting, of course inevitably there's always going to be things in the process that we can improve, but I do rely on the staff to be able to do that. People like Stacy, they're going to drive that at a high level. I think that works pretty well, and we rely on them to do that.
Like grant writers and grant managers are maybe part of the capacity. Like, is it kind of rare jobs, or other universities have the similar positions?
So I think that relative to our competitors, in terms of kind of the proposal preparation, building the budget, working with the faculty, on the agency requirements, we're doing really well. Okay. I think on large project support with project managers and similar sort of support, also doing really well, and I think differentiated from our peers. I think that kind of in the in-between part where project managers who on a smaller grant might mean $1 million, who can see how to maybe connect a couple of faculty, begin to understand what an agency's needs are. We need more of that. And that's a piece of the puzzle that we're lacking a little bit. But so are our peers. I mean, that's those are special skill sets in those people to bring people in like that.
Like you were at Vermont before.
Yes.
Like, can you compare a little bit?
At Vermont, the difference was so here the research advancement staff they're in the school, and in Vermont it was central. Okay, so I did have to walk down the street, and that's because the office was in one building, and that's where you would go. It was we were a lot smaller, so what faculty tend to value is if you and I are working on the proposal, and it's good for the faculty to know if I can always work with you, right? We have a relationship. We begin to you kind of understand what I'm thinking, and vice versa. That tends to be what they really desire. But the big difference was. Of course, fewer staff because fewer faculty, but again, it was a centralized model.
So I'm asking a little bit different question, but in general, some faculty told me that after the recession, the sponsored research funding is declining, especially in NIH, And does that influence the strategy of the school? Or?
So it basically, so in general, getting sponsored funding is challenging. Okay, NIH or DoD or what it does force you to do is be extremely strategic about how you begin to build your ideas and communicate your ideas. And so what do I mean? So, in the past, maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you could really maybe write a proposal and submit it to the agency and just kind of wait. Now you need to talk to the program manager, begin to get them used to your idea, go talk to them, right? Go to DC, and begin to understand what their problems are, build a relationship, and really, and that's part of being strategic about being much more, how would you say, precise about how you refine the ideas that you're going to propose. And so so the point is dollars are more scarce, and so it's become, guess what, more competitive, which means the proposals have to be even better. And so that's kind of the evolution.
Like in addition, in general, like their requirements are growing, like more compliance things. Like how does that influence the admin system or PIs actually?
It's a huge, it's a growing concern. Okay, so one example is costs in the grant that are not allowed, right? A classic one is typically buying a computer, not allowed. Okay, the compliance pieces are becoming significant. Okay, and it slows down awards, it slows down budgeting, it slows down a lot of different things. That's the staff job, right, to make sure that those things are going to be, okay. But it does make the actual execution of the research, again, more and more and more narrow. Okay, so you have fewer opportunities, I feel, than you did maybe, 10, 15, 20 years ago to sort of just dream and work and sort of think and kind of, in a research setting kind of wander. I mean, now it's much more about a project and deliverable. Now that's okay, but when you're in a more highly regulated environment, that's going to be part of the cost of doing business.
Like some PIs told me that so they submit multiple proposals, and some of them are risky, exciting but risky one. Sure. They are not generally funded, and this boring one get funded.
Well, that's hopefully it's not boring, right?
Yes.
But maybe more conservative, right?
Yeah.
Some of that, though, it would probably depend on the agency. Okay. I mean, some agencies want high risk, and they won't fund the conservative. So I think very clever faculty will understand out of the range of available agencies, where can I go shopping, if you will, and they'll take it from that perspective.
And go back to the requirement compliance thing. I think there are rules by the agencies and state governments, but also by ASU itself.
Yes.
Like, they have any opportunity to give feedback for them to how to do with the ASU level requirements?
We do. I mean, I feel like within ASU the lines of communication are pretty good. It doesn't mean the policy will change, but they'll certainly listen. Again and again, I think ASU is extremely accommodating about working with faculty as much as they possibly can. Even if the proposal is late. At ASU, we're very good at figuring out how to do something that you want to do, as opposed to saying, okay, sorry, it looks like it's not going to fit this regulation, too bad. Oftentimes, you can maybe slightly reorient, change, right? Maybe the proposal or the idea, and make it fit. And ASU, I think, is amazingly good at that, much better than our peers.
Like, so you are a dean, and in a faculty meeting or meeting with other deans, do you talk about the research administration system? Or
it will come up. Yeah, okay. I mean, it may be, and it will typically come up. It may be more sort of informational. Now, within a school, okay, not at my level, but within a school, a school director may say, hey, look, we know that, February